So I've spent the last 6 months of my journey dedicating it simply to just driving traffic, okay? It's been an absolute hassle, but if you know anything about my journey, you know for a fine fact that my USA audience and first world audience overall has been absolutely awful, okay? Like, my reach, so say in a 7 day period, I might have had, I don't know, 300,000 views, right? Maybe 15 to 16% of that would have been first world audience, and that was a few months ago. But recently, with all these things I've implemented, that audience has went from being 15 to 16% to being about 40 to 50%. So it's changed a huge amount compared to what was a few months, simply because of the things I implemented. So the first thing I will say is that US SIM cards, proxies, US numbers, they don't matter as much as you think, right? A lot of videos out there and a lot of people will always say, oh, well, you need USA proxies and you need a USA IP address with a USA SIM card to actually reach USA audience, which it's not completely true. To an extent, it probably does affect it, but it's not to the point where it's going to cripple you if you don't have all this stuff. Like, I'm from the UK personally, right? And I still target USA audience. So if you're from, I don't know, Croatia or something, why would that make a difference, right? If I'm in the UK and I'm targeting the USA audience, why could you not be able to with a Croatian number or a Croatian IP address? Like, when it comes to reaching a specific audience, it's more about the content you make rather than all the ins and outs of the IP address and all this bullshit what people tell you, right? It's more about the content you make and who you interact with. So, for example, say you have a video of a girl, right? She's wearing a cowboy hat, a crop top, in some ripped denim shorts or something like that, right? That outfit's often worn by USA women, country girls and stuff, like a cowboy hat. That's for people who's like countrymen and all that stuff. So obviously all the USA men who see that are going to enjoy that post compared to the Indians who might like it where they're wearing like Indian clothing compared to American, right? You have to make sure that your content actually resonates with the USA audience or whatever audience you're trying to target, and you've just got to make sure it actually is something what they would enjoy. So one thing what I tested out was using text on screen. So you got to think, if the text on screen's English, that means anyone who doesn't understand or speak English is just going to scroll off the video instantly, which means you're left with only the English speaking people on the video. So hopefully if your video is good enough, they'll end up liking, interacting, following, which will obviously boost your USA audience. Because like I say, it's who actually engages with your audience, whether or not it's going to be promoted to that audience. So for instance, say a bunch of USA men interact with your video. They're liking, they're sharing, they're commenting. Instagram's algorithm is going to see this and like, oh right, so a bunch of people from the USA resonate with this content and they like this content. Let's push it out to the USA more. And this is a problem what I stumbled across because I had a few viral reels what hit more than 1 million views. And they were thirst traps, so they only resonate, like obviously they resonate with everyone in the world, but the Indians love thirst traps. So a bunch of Indians were liking, sharing, commenting, and that was just constantly getting pushed towards the Indians, which obviously wasn't good for me because that's not what I wanted to target, and it fucked up my audience on that account. When it comes to interacting as well, it's who you interact with, not just who interacts with you. So for instance, say you interact with a bunch of Indian related reels. Instagram's going to see this like, all right, this person likes content what's made from India, it's got Indian people in, Indian language, stuff like that, and they're going to push your content out to India because of that, because they resonate with each other. While if you like a bunch of content from first world countries, so maybe you like Sophie Reen's content, a bunch of other OnlyFans models, or maybe you like American politics, then Instagram's going to say that and be like, oh right, okay, so this guy must be from the United States because he's liking all this content what relates with the United States, which will get you in the algorithm and the pool of other US audience. So what I done is I liked a bunch of baseball content because baseball's not known really in anywhere else in the world other than the United States. So I interacted with a bunch of baseball, a bunch of golf, a bunch of politics, just a bunch of American-based things, which it's obviously helped because my audience it's changed from being in India, Mexico, Brazil, to being in places like America, England, Italy, Germany, places like that. So all this stuff does work because I done it myself and my account was more or less dead, as most people would call it. Like, it had 16 to 17% USA audience. Do you know how shit that is? And I've managed to turn it around to the point where each week I'm reaching more first world than third world, which is absolutely brilliant because that means my traffic is a lot higher quality than what it was. So overall, if you are like looking to just change your audience and stuff, make sure you implement all these stuff. So if you combine the fact of making content what resonates with first world countries, so maybe they've got cowboy hats on, American flags in the background, English writing on screen. You've got to make it a bit more complicated though, because obviously if it's just his face or body and it's a picture of her face and her body, anyone can decipher that, and a lot of people know these basic words. So if you make more complex words, that'll be better. But if you implement these things, so outfits, flags in the background, American looking location, so maybe like, I don't know, a beach on Florida or something, and clothing, I don't know what else I've said, but anyways, if you put all them stuff in, it's going to resonate with the American audience and the first world audience. Then if you interact with the American audience, Instagram's algorithm and say, hold on, this person clearly resonates with America to an extent, so we'll push the content out there. If you implement all these things, it's going to work out and flip your audience around. But if your account is like what I'd say the point past the point of no return, which mine was, I'd recommend just starting a new one, because honestly, it's such a hassle and you've got to let go. Like, what I didn't understand is how much more of a hassle it'll be keeping my current account than making a new one. You are probably thinking the same, that it's going to be more of a hassle making a new one, but trust me, just let go of it and it's a lot easier to rebuild an account. Plus your audience quality will be so much higher, so honestly, just trust me on that and do that. One last thing you can do is, like, to reach USA audience, is actually to just generate traffic from a third party. So see if, for instance, Reddit, you've got a bunch of traffic on Reddit, funnel it over to the Instagram, right? If Reddit is full of USA audience, or Twitter, right? Both of these are huge for USA audience, so funnel them over to your Instagram. That means a lot more followers will be coming in from the USA, a lot more views, which means a lot more engagement, which overall, it just improves your experience. If you have a new account, I completely recommend just funneling the traffic over, right? Because that means it'll boost your reels, boost your first world audience, and it's just overall so much better and less complicated in the long run. Other than that, there is a free AI OnlyFans Telegram in the description. Please like and subscribe, it would mean the world to me. But that's all. See ya.